This week, we're discussing the PS5 Pro Leaks, a possible Xbox handheld, going in-depth on Dragon's Dogma 2, plus more top headlines of the week, and if that isn't enough, Maulding's back with a Trivia Smackdown about video game rivalries. Welcome, friends, to this week's episode of Good Playing With You, the weekly gaming podcast. I'm Dan Whitehill, and as always, I'm joined by our Good Playing Good buddies, Matt Lord.
Hey, how's it going?
And Matt Maulding.
Hey now.
We've got a packed show for you, but before we dive in, let's check in with my gang of Matts and find out what everyone's been playing this week. Lord?
Yeah, it was a little bit of a lighter week for me, but I did get a few rounds of Helldivers in, so I did my part. We even had a squad of four for Democracy. It was a lot of fun. I still think it's pay to win. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. It's just you can pay, you can skip some grind. I think it's pay to win. You can at me on social all you want.
They do.
They
Please
will.
do it. We'd love some back and forth. Please with us.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, still a lot of fun. That game is going to be around for a bit, I think.
Agreed.
It's just, and I was just reading somewhere how it had like a huge, or it was like the top selling game in February, and it's just like the sales are through the roof. So more of that game to come. That's it for me.
Oh, nice.
Maulding, what about you?
Well, we're going to talk about Dragon's Dogma 2, so I've been playing a lot of that. But before we get to that, Overwatch 2 let their newest hero out for like 2 days, starting today. I think it's 2 days, 2 or 3 days. Venture, which is a new DPS character. So I tried her. I think her pronouns are they, them. So I tried them today. And not the most fun I've ever had playing a DPS character, I have to say. Not really into the kit. It's pretty basic. It feels... most of these heroes feel pretty basic when you first play them, and then you get into them and you find that they're a lot more complicated, but this one just felt a little bit basic and just not really fun to play as. But people might have different opinions. I'm sure that they do. It just wasn't for me, but we'll see when she comes out next season, which I think is in April, like mid-April. So that's when she'll be officially left.
So Adventure's not available for everyone right now?
Available for everyone right now, just as like a test. But then she'll go like back into the closet, and then then she'll come back out of the closet for the new season, which Overwatch 2 has now made all of their heroes free. So you will not be behind a paywall anymore for the season pass. You can just play them right away.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah, so which is good. That's a good, but I think Overwatch might be a dying game. I think it's dying a very slow death.
Sad news, but it's true.
Yeah, I think so. But a new Marvel game was released that's going to be like an Overwatch clone for PC. That's not in any of our news this week, but it just came out. It looks pretty fun. It looks like Overwatch, but you're playing Marvel heroes. So that's definitely up my alley. Except I don't play PC games, so I might miss out on it completely. But you'll be able to play it, Lord.
Thumbs up. Get a gaming PC is what I have to say.
What about you, Dan? What are you playing?
A lot of Dragon's Dogma 2, which I definitely am curious to get your thoughts on. And then also some Moonlighter. Have you guys tried that one?
I think I did. Is it a Soulsborne sort of game?
No, but it's like a roguelite where it's on Game Pass, so if anybody hasn't tried it out, I highly recommend it. But this is my second time playing through it. That's how good it is. But it was just good.
I think I remember you playing it once before.
Yeah,
and hearing about it.
While I was under the weather last week, so apologies if we didn't have an episode. But that was the reason why. So I was under the weather for a little bit, and this was my comfort game, and it was perfect because It's got a mix of Zelda dungeon crawling, and then you get all of this loot in the dungeon, and you come back and you go to your shop and you sell it, and you have to set prices and stuff like that, and kind of like it's a mini game of trying to figure out that and min max all of your rewards. But it was on sale for $4 on Switch last week, so I picked it up. And then it's also on Game Pass. Highly, highly, highly recommend that game because it is just truly addictive and fun. And another game I found pretty fun was the old Dragon's Dogma 2. So that's pretty much it.
Do we want to get into it? Do you want to get into some Dragon's Dogma 2 talk?
Yes, I do. Let's jump right into it. I want to know your thoughts. I want to know how much you've played. And eventually I want to, talk about everything, but then eventually put a score on it. I know it's early because we haven't finished it, but what our thoughts are. So why don't you kick it off, Matt? Tell us a little bit about the game.
Me to kick it off? Oh my God, the pressure. So I started playing
first, explain the game too for anyone who might not be familiar as well.
Well, first I'll say it came out on Thursday. I was very thankful we didn't have a podcast, so I could jump right into it and start playing.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
So Dragon's Dogma 2, if you don't know, is the sequel to Dragon's Dogma, which came out, I think, like 12 years ago. I think we're looking at now.
I'd never heard of it.
You had never heard of it? It had like it didn't release with great response, but then it kind of built up as a cult following, if you could say that. And then Dragon's Dogma Arisen came out, which was the up-res version of it for Xbox One, I think. I don't know my details right off. But anyway, so this is the sequel to that game. It's a third-person RPG, action RPG. You have different classes that you take, which they call vocations, which give you different abilities, like a thief or a fighter. But the main conceit that's different from other games is it's a single-player game, but you can hire what's called pawns at these stones across the game. And they're basically your friends and online people, their own companions that you have in the game. So you build your own companion. That companion gets like uploaded into the server, and then other people can then have your companion along with you on their game, which is a pretty unique thing for these RPG games. And what's really cool is if in your game you run across a treasure chest or something, your pawn will remember it, and then when a buddy downloads your pawn to travel along with you, that pawn will be like, hey, there's a treasure chest over yonder, let's go find it, because my owner or whatever that I can't remember what they call us. My Arisen, your master. I think they do say master.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. They will say, "Oh, my master found this chest or this item or something. Come here. I'll show you where it is." Which is kind of a fun little interactive thing. And then when you're done,
I've been using Matt's pawn Trixie, and she's super high leveled. And the other day, she told me she knew where a chest was. Yeah. She took me 15 minutes back to where I had just been.
Troll. Just like Maulding.
Yeah, exactly. And then she shows me
a girl after my own heart.
We go off the woods. Yeah, we go off into the woods. There's the treasure chest. I'm like, finally. And as I'm going to get it, Trixie runs ahead of me, throws an elbow, and then jumps on it and opens it up. And I didn't even see what was in it. And I was like, this truly is Matt's pawn, because it has just trolled me across the whole map and then stole the treasure in front of me. Like, Trixie just wanted me to watch her get the treasure, I guess.
That's so
I love that girl. She's so good. So that's the basic gist of the game. I would say you're fighting big monsters. You're fighting a lot of little monsters. But to get into what I actually think about it, so it's getting a lot of great press. A lot of people saying it's game of the year. A lot of people saying they've never played anything like it. I will have to say that it's fun, but I would not put it up that high. Like, there's a lot of issues that I have with it. One being, I do not think it respects your time as a gamer, and it really hit a point where I think I had taken 3 hours to get to a faraway city, this part of the map, and the fast travel is basically non-existent. There are some exceptions.
Microtransactions.
Yep.
Well,
Okay,
we'll get
sorry,
into
I had
that.
to.
So I get over to this town. Took me a couple hours. I was really hoping there would be one of these rare travel stones that are permanent, and there was not. Which means I'm gonna have to go back and make that trip again, and put down one of your own personal teleporting stones there. And I am just not looking forward to doing that. It is really going to be not fun. And I'll say another thing about it is the enemy variety is so lacking.
Ooh.
Like you
There's like
fight
3.
a bunch. There's like 5 or
Really?
6. Yeah, there's like 5 or 6 big boss-ish sort of monsters. I might be there might be more than that, but that's what I found so far. But your little monsters that you're fighting along, your little mobs, are just, it's either humans or goblins, or harpies or wolves.
Lizards.
Those are the 4.
Yeah.
Or lizards. So, yeah, so there's like 6 or 7 different, but you really feel like you're fighting the same mob over and over and over again. Which, if you're switching up your vocations and you're playing different play styles, could be fun, but it's really the I don't know, 16th time I fight a group of harpies. It's like I'm really not enjoying fighting these harpies. So yeah,
I've not heard that yet. Like, I'm a little surprised to hear there's so few monsters. So I'm trying to. The first one, I don't remember there being a lack of monsters.
I think it was a similar thing. No, I feel like it was a similar thing for that. Yeah, I don't know for sure, but I felt that way for the first one. So that before we get into microtransactions, which is the whole thing, Dan, what were your initial thoughts of it?
Well, first, I'm really surprised to hear your opinion, because I know we were both super hyped and we had both heard all the same things about how great this was. And I had the exact same experience. I jumped into this and I'm excited because I love a meaty open world with all of these quests and leveling up and finding loot. Like, that is just what I do. It's so fun. And I ran into the exact same thing. And I hate to say this, but in the back of my mind, I kept comparing it to other games that were similar. I kept thinking, oh, there's a masquerade coming up. And then I went to this masquerade as part of a mission, and there was hardly any NPC. It was the lamest party I've ever been to. And I was in the band in high school. So that should tell you something. Like, it was so sad. And I was like, in my back of my mind, I'm like, wow, well, Dragon Age did this so much better. Inquisition or Witcher, it had a same masquerade. So these games, like, obviously are all. So this is a third game to do a masquerade. You think they would tear it up, but they don't. And then there's no information given on these quests. And for some reason, you're supposed to know that you're supposed to leave the party and find a hidden wall you can't see to continue the quest. And so I was just kind of like, okay, yeah. So I'm enjoying it. Don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of times where it's like the combat. I'm like, The Witcher just did it better, or Assassin's Creed. The parry system in that one was much better. And I get there are a lot of different ones, and I haven't tried them all, so there's some variety there. So the more I play this, the storytelling. Oh God. There are some fetch quests that made me want to claw my eyes out. There's this little girl in the slums, and she keeps asking for things over and over and over. And she's like, I need these flowers. I need these rocks. I need this. And it is so tedious and so boring. But of course, I'm doing it because I know it's going to lead somewhere. And then eventually there is some sort of like quest line that ties into it and stuff like that. But it's good, but it's not. Everyone was building it up to be the next big game of a generation, I heard someone say, and I'm like, F you, because the storytelling on it, in the back of my mind, I'm like, well, The Witcher told so many stories so much better, and every side quest was so epic and had a twist and had an ending, and this girl is asking for 2 rocks of silver or something, and I'm like, oh my God, I want to kill her. And then on top of
which
that,
you can, if you wanted to, you could kill her, which I do appreciate that in a game where you can kill NPCs. So
yeah, that's true. And then added on to that, the tediousness of the traveling. At first, it's nice because the world feels almost as good as a Zelda world. There's tons of crap just hidden everywhere, and the land is very bespoke, and it's been created by these developers who get it, who know. They give you a main path, but then they make little things here and here that you want to run off, and it's so interesting and so much fun the first time through finding all the secrets. But the second and third and fourth time through, after you've picked it clean, you're just kind of like, really, really. So I think it is a good game, and I'm going to sink over 100 hours into it easy, not a problem. But it's got some flaws that should be really addressed. It was overhyped, but it is great. And the one thing I will say in its favor is that pawn system. Who doggy? It is really fun. It is unique. It is. You remember when we all played the Lord of the Rings game, and we were like, "Oh, this Nemesis system is incredible!
Yeah.
It's so smart. Every game's going to rip this off." I felt this way about this. That's how novel this pawn system is. Yes, they've already done it, but that's okay. They own it. They're allowed to do it again. This pawn system is so fun. It's the one fresh idea in the game that they just absolutely nail, and it's super, super fun. Being able to play with Matt's Trixie or my other friends' characters, it's like you're playing with your friends, but you're not. And there's little pieces of them, and I get a little sense of glee when I find something, and then Trixie will be like, "I'll have to tell my master about that." And I'm like, "That's right, because Matt didn't find it, I did."
Mm-hmm.
But then she'll be like, sometimes she'll be like, "Well, my master found this over here," and I'm like, "Oh, damn it!" And then she'll show me, which is great. So it is truly unique and really, really fun. So I'm enjoying the heck out of that. That's the first time I've experienced anything like that. But then the rest of the game is a standard adventure game, and it just doesn't, live up to the hype. But that's okay because I'm still enjoying it. Mauldin, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so once I got the as far as the fighting goes, I started out as a mage, really enjoyed it, then did a sorcerer, really enjoyed the magic because I love magic parts of most games. But when I found the first like the advanced job, I already said what they're called. What are they called? Your Vocation, thank you. Which is the like magic spear hand, or what the spear guy. So much fun to play as like a melee. This guy, you teleport to a creature and then you stab it, and he's really a badass. So that's fun. Yeah, I agree with you on so much stuff. What I really wish they should have done is, if they're going to force you to go through, to walk around in the same area over and over and over again, I wish the chests would respawn so that you'd still get a feeling of being able to find something new, even if you already found it. A lot of these areas, even though they're beautiful, look exactly the same, and I can't tell one chest on one hill versus another chest on another hill. So if they would have had them respawn, and even if they just put money in them, I would feel a new sense of exploration walking around. The fast travel system, you travel between like 3 or 4 main cities on ox cart. Never had a problem with that. I actually don't mind that. I think it's a good substitution. It really, like I said before, was getting to this very far away place and not having a fast travel there is rough. But let's talk microtransactions.
Wait, Lord, I know you had a question.
Oh yeah, Lord, did you?
I think I cut you off.
No. Well, I can't even remember what I was going to ask potentially, but just before we jump into the microtransactions, because I haven't played Dragon's Dogma yet, but I've seen, Rise of the Ronin came out at the same time. Do you think this Rise of the Ronin game actually could be outdoing Dragon's Dogma? And quick take.
I mean, not in the hype train. The hype train is
That's
really
true.
on Dragon's Dogma's side, I think. So I've only seen very little about Rise of the Ronin on at least on Twitter.
Same.
Yeah. I'm just trying to decide if I pick up something. I don't know which one I'm going to get.
Well, Rise of the Ronin was getting some dings, like on its visuals. It was getting some dings for it. Yeah. Depends on what type of... They're two very different games. I think that Soulsborne type of Rise of the Ronin game is a very different style than Dragon's Dogma.
For sure. Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't know. Yeah.
We'll keep us posted, whatever you decide.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let us know.
Yeah. So if
slide your
Meg-
pawn into our game.
Exactly.
Yeah. And you feel free to use my pawn because I like all the credits.
Yeah. But
I can't use Dan's because it's too low level. I gotta wait till he catches up.
Well, yeah. I mean, it sounds like Trixie's a boss, so
she is.
Just keep with that. But I was gonna say, if like fast travel, for instance, with microtransactions, like would that make this game potentially better?
So microtransactions, you can there is a whole list of them to get into it. There's a whole list. You can only buy each of them once. So it's not like you can buy the fast travel crystal and buy 10 fast travel crystals. I think they're only offering one fast travel crystal. You can get some in game. I have 2 of them that I've just discovered naturally. But yeah, as far as those you can only buy each one of those once. So it's as far as microtransactions go for this game, I don't think it's a crazy thing. I don't think it's bad. Most of these Capcom games have a very similar microtransaction system. I don't think it's pay to win. If you don't want them, you don't buy them. I actually, in game, don't know how you would buy them in game. I think you have to buy it from the store and then it gets uploaded to your account. In Microsoft, there's no like microtransaction vendor or anything in the game that I have found. So if there wasn't all this news about it, I wouldn't even know that there is microtransactions in the game. That's how inoffensive it is to me. You don't like it, don't buy it. Like, don't buy them. That's the way I feel.
I agree, but I'm also morally opposed to microtransactions in a single player game that costs $70. Look, if you want to put microtransactions out there, great, but don't charge me $70 and call it a full game, because that sounds like bullshit. And the way they went about this was pretty sneaky, because they didn't tell anybody. They didn't even show these microtransactions to the reviewers. They waited until the release day and then they surprised everybody with them, and that was not cool. That was super shady. I agree. It is nice that they're not heavy-handed. There's no like tab in the store like in an Ubisoft game they would do where you would see them if you tabbed over. It's not there. I did look for it as well. The only place you can find them are the actual Xbox store and on Steam and that sort of stuff. So they're not intrusive. But I do think, when they make travel tedious and that sort of stuff, it makes you wonder, like, are they making this travel tedious because they want to sell microtransactions, or is this just like maybe not the best game design and then they're layering everything on top? I don't know. I can't decide. It irks me a little bit, but it's not intrusive.
That is a good thing, at least.
Oh, sorry, Matt.
Oh no, that was good. I was just gonna say, hey, as long as it's not in your face like an Ubisoft game, then that's a plus.
No, it's not. And the first Dragon Dogma didn't have fast travel either. So if that one didn't have fast travel, or if that one did have it and then they took it out on this one, I would have feel differently. I would feel more that they were trying to money grub, but they didn't. And I don't necessarily think it is a money. I mean, it's a money thing on Capcom's side. I don't think it's a money thing on the developer side.
Agreed.
Okay,
I want to wrap this up because we've got so many great headlines that we want to get to. If you had to assign a score really early, Maulding, what would you give it?
B- right now. I actually haven't played it in 2 days, so it's been a while since I've even jumped it back into it. B-, and I think it's got an A. I think it's got an A- cap on me, probably. But we'll see how the rest of the game pans out.
Yeah, I think I'm like at a solid 7. The music wasn't there. I can't tell what's really going on in the quests half the time. The story doesn't make much sense to me. But I sure like a good adventure game, and this is definitely a great adventure game. So I think a solid 7, 7.5 for me, and we'll see where it goes once I get further. Maybe there'll be some great areas or some great bosses I'm changing my tune next week. But yeah, 7.5 I think is pretty solid.
Is that a B-? Is that, I don't know what it would equate to on a number. Yeah, same thing.
Sure sounds like a B minus. All right, so moving on here. Matt, did you put which Matt? One of you put the PS5 leaks are true. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, let's jump right in there. So according to Insider Gaming, which I think I just saw on Twitter randomly, it was like this PS5 Pro specs leakers are real, releasing holiday 2024. Super crazy. I mean, just like initial reaction, I'm just like, wow, I can't believe a PS5 Pro is coming along. Just I don't know if it's necessary since I feel like we have no hardware or any games for the PS5 standard. So the documents confirmed that the rendering is 45% faster than the standard PS5, 2 to 3 times ray tracing, 4 times in some cases. Not even sure, exactly how that quantifies. 33.5 teraflops, which I know the Xbox loved to tout their teraflops, so that really hits home. PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution upscaling. That's crazy. 8K.
Word salad.
Yeah, there's a lot. AI accelerator, which is probably meaning NPCs are going to have AI built into them. And that's...
Yeah, but I feel like any game could do that, to be honest with you.
I know.
It doesn't have to
I don't
be.
think you need a PS5 Pro for that. That's... I mean, I don't know what to think of this. It's a little bit disappointing. I don't think the PS5 standard has been utilized yet, and now we have a new system on the horizon, and we've barely scratched the surface on the regular. So I'm not very excited. I know that there's been like rumors of it, and it's probably going to come out just in time for, it's probably for the GTA 6 of it all, but
for sure.
Yeah, that's just kind of my take. I'm just like, what do you guys think?
Maulding, what do you think?
Yeah, unless you've maxed out the capabilities of your base system, I think getting an advanced system I is going to be a waste of money for me. Like I'm not going to run out and buy these mid-season systems if you haven't maxed out the capabilities of my original system. So it's a pass.
Yeah, I think it's also a pass for me too. I mean, the first thing I do is read the room here, Sony. I mean, the economy's not so great. People are getting laid off left and right, and here you are about to introduce a machine that's a lot more, expensive. Sure, it's more powerful, but we haven't even seen games like Lord said that even take on the full next gen power that we've all been sitting here waiting for. And then also, the second point is look back at last generation. Yes, I know that console manufacturers want this to be an iterative thing. They want it to be like cell phones where you're upgrading every so many years because it's pretty lucrative for them. And you know what? I bought it, and I bought the Xbox, One X last time. And what did I get? Not much. In fact, I have a hard time thinking of anything and I bought the PS4 Pro. I really didn't get much out of that either. So I felt kind of like, I was burned the last time. They didn't make much use of those features. I didn't get much out of it. I'm not going to make the same mistake twice. This is definitely a no for me.
And I did want to also add that I saw rumblings how developers are like, we don't want to develop on a PS5 Pro. Like, they're not into it. So there's been like talks that there's just the support is not even going to be there for a PS5 Pro. So I wonder how that is ultimately going to pan out. If that's going to either, I don't know. I don't think they'll ever push back a system of this something like this. Yeah, but
they just grumble when they have to support another tier and stuff like that.
People were saying it's like, all right, like we're already developing for 8 years for a game, like now we have to like reshuffle the deck and yada yada. So it's an interesting, it's weird. It's definitely a weird move on Sony's part at this point in time.
Agreed. But I think we can all kind of read the writing on the wall that new consoles are coming. And so that kind of transitions us into our next subject. We've got a couple of headlines when it comes to Xbox that I want to touch on. The first and foremost is actual photos have leaked of the next Xbox Series X. This article comes from Kotaku when it says, Microsoft seems poised for an all-digital future, folks. The company is swapping the black coating on the Xbox Series X for a white and pulling the disk drive for an all-digital refresh of the quote, most powerful Xbox ever. The gaming and technology website Xputer published a series of leaked images on March 27th, just a couple days ago, and this new all-white, all-digital Xbox Series X. Based on these rather low-quality images, it looks like the bones of this new console are the exact same as this current $500 Xbox Series X that's currently on store shelves, which is the rectangular box with the waffle vent at the top that can be stored vertically or horizontally. However, upon further inspection, it's clear that this new white Xbox Series X lacks a disk drive on the front of the original model. This change lines up with documents that leaked in September 2023 when they originally reported a cylindrical design instead of the shoebox aesthetic, and also removed the disk drive. On the back, the white Series X houses the same ports as the black Series X, meaning that Xbox's Seagate storage expansion cards would still work, allowing you to increase the console's capacity. And it kind of goes on from there. But I don't know if you guys have seen the photos or what you guys think about this potentially launching maybe towards the end of the year.
I saw the photos. Very interesting. I think they're definitely getting us ready for that all digital future, which makes me nervous. I know they touched on that what even was that? I'm trying to think. It wasn't the developer direct. It was the preview, or no, it was the other little showcase that they kind of, their hand was forced. Oh, it was the almost like
the leak.
Did we lose Maulding?
Yeah, let's keep going.
Oh yeah. Okay, so yeah, we had the leak, and basically, I think they kind of got us ready for this. There's not going to be a disk drive, no more physical media. It's just going to be this white little box that reminds me a lot of the Series S. Yeah. I think it's funny that they're changing the color to white, even though I personally think the black is way sleeker. So I think it's almost a step in the wrong direction with the color scheme. I don't know. I don't really get this move exactly. I think they should have probably stuck it out with the regular console and just kept just the one with the disk drive at least. But I don't know. They're definitely prepping something for us, which is crazy.
I agree. I'm glad they didn't go with the cylindrical design. I agree that the black is a lot sleeker. I'm curious to see if this is going to have a lower price point. I'm guessing so. And they must have, seen a lot of, maybe their Xbox Series X or S, that little white thing is selling so well that they think people are like, okay, they're definitely, a lot of interest in going all digital. It makes more sense for them since they make more money off of digital sales. So I can see them heading in this direction. My only question is when and what's the price drop? Because it can't be the same price.
Yeah, do you think like 300 or 350? What do you think here? Or would it be 400?
Yeah, it's going to be 400, I think.
Okay.
Not too shabby.
No, that's not too bad. I mean, that's pretty cool. I'm trying to think because I have a Series S and it's like, what would I do now? Like, would I upgrade and get but it's like, no, I already have a Series S. Like it just doesn't really make sense for me. It's like, I'm already set up. I have my Xbox.
Agreed. I'm fine.
Yeah.
But one thing that they could potentially tempt me with is the Xbox rumored handheld that I wanted to talk about. And this sounds very interesting. So first and foremost, Xbox insider Jez Gordon on his podcast said that he had heard that there was the long-running Xbox handheld rumors were true, and that a new console was being developed that's kind of closer to the Nintendo Switch than the PlayStation Portal, meaning it could natively run everything. It's not like some sort of cloud machine. He said that a recent Xbox developer kit registration in South Korea was further evidence of this new console design, and that dev kits are going out potentially to these developers. And then what was also interesting, I wanted to piggyback with, is that Phil Spencer, the head of Xbox, recently had a really interesting interview with Polygon where they asked him about handhelds. And of course, he didn't specify or confirm anything on it, but he did say, he said, quote, "I want my Lenovo Legion Go to feel like an Xbox," when he was talking about handhelds. He said, "I brought the Legion Go with me to GDC. I'm on the airplane. I have this list of everything that makes it not feel like an Xbox. Forget about the brand. More like, are all of my games here? Do all of my games show up with the same save files that I want? I can tell you what game doesn't right now that's driving me crazy, and that's Fallout 76. I want to be able to boot into the Xbox app in a full screen, but in a compact mode. And I want all of my social experience to be in there. Like, I want to feel like the dash of my Xbox when I turn on the television, except I want it on a small, handheld device." And then, according to Spencer, the Xbox hardware team led by Rowan Sones is considering, quote, "different hardware and form factors and things that they could go and do," end quote, as plans for the future of the Xbox hardware. He asks, "What should we build that will find new players, that will allow people to play at times when they couldn't play in the past?" So clearly, this is getting a lot of thought. We're hearing rumors. He's kind of thinking about it. That's not to say for sure that something would come out, but what are your thoughts, Lord? Like, is this something that you already own a Steam Deck? Is this a no-go for you?
I think this is exactly what the Xbox needs. I think a handheld will totally mix up their current game plan, and I think we kind of touched on this, which is funny. We kind of speculated about what could potentially they're coming up with, and we said handheld. So I want to say we kind of called it there, but we called it. And then I mean, I'm excited for it. I think I think handheld is always awesome. I just think that is such a fun, unique way to game. It unlocks so many possibilities for you to play, and being a dad now, it's just I only have a limited time, and the portability factor is actually a huge bonus for me. So I like it. I love that they're taking a risk too. That's really nice to see. So I'm hyped.
Nice. Now, Maulding, are you back with us? I can't see you.
Well,
Do you want to restart your computer? Do you want to restart your computer and see if you can get your visuals back?
It says I'm back. It says uploading.
Yeah.
I have a time thing, which is very different from the last time we had this problem. But my internet went down, so I don't know if you. I don't know. I don't know what's happening.
What do you think, Dan?
You know what? I definitely think this is the way to go. So I know that Sony is looking to repeat and maybe potentially a Microsoft too. Who knows what they're up to? But this mid-season refresh thing and going more powerful and more expensive is not the way. We saw that it didn't work last generation. There was no point to it. So I doubt that trick is going to work again. And I know that they're just looking to make money, at least on the Sony side. But going to the handheld, now that is the popular move. That is where we're seeing a lot of the action. It is a lot smarter because it's not giving us needless power that's not going to be used.
Mm-hmm.
What it's doing is taking that Xbox Series S has got to be ripe for a handheld by this point in the technology cycle. And so it's smart of them to kind of potentially try and take the innards of that, shrink them down, and make it into a handheld. It's got to have a dock so that I can see it on my TV. It's got to have a strong enough battery. So it's got to do a few things. I think they're a little bit late to the party because the the Asus ROG, the
Lenovo, the Legion.
Lenovo and the Steam Deck, like all of them are kind of out there. So you've got to do something smart. And I don't know if that is offering, maybe free Game Pass for a year or something. You've got to come with a hook that's different from everybody else. You've got to have native games processed right on it. But I think it could be the move. It's much smarter than a Pro.
Yeah, agreed. I think it cannot be cloud-based.
I agree.
It has to run native games. It has to have that horsepower behind it. I think you're so right. Like the Series S is so small already. I feel like I think is almost like a handheld size. They could definitely take that technology, make it a bit smaller, remove some components there, slap an like an LED LCD screen on there, and you're good to go. And
I agree.
And
okay, sorry.
No, go.
I wanted to move on because there's one more story I wanted to get to on the Xbox kind of roundup here. And that is, could the Xbox be adding other stores besides their own marketplace to the Xbox console itself? Phil Spencer, in an interview, says that he's open to bringing stores like Epic and Itch.io to Xbox consoles. This
and
was
I saw
interview.
Steam was in there too, right? Or did he say Steam or not Steam?
Yeah, no, it was in there. I think it was in there as well. I'm reading over here. It was the interview with Polygon again, but Xbox Phil Spencer says Microsoft is now leaning away from the strategy of being the only console seller or game seller, to the point that he's even open to the idea of having digital storefronts like Epic Game Store and Itch.io on Xbox consoles. I think it's interesting. What do you make of this? Would it ever happen? Like, why is this being considered?
Yeah.
Does it open the door for more mods and things, or what?
That guy likes to stir the pot with some of the quotes he says. Which I fully respect him for. Like, why not just let it rip?
Right.
I'm not sure the exact, like, I'm trying to think what use case a store like getting Steam on, like, would all the Steam games just work on my Xbox?
Okay. That's a good question. And so here's where my mind goes, to be honest with you. One, I think, yes, your Steam games it would be up to the developers, but you know how they're kind of doing it where they're saying optimized for Steam Deck? It would probably be the same thing as well. And I'm guessing if a game was not optimized for Xbox on that Steam storefront, it wouldn't be for sale on the actual console itself. So I'm shocked to hear this, because I don't think that they would want to take a cut in the revenue. They've got to, like, the revenue that they get from software has got to be the majority of their, besides Game Pass, their income. So I'm shocked that they would let other people be on that platform. But it would be awesome if suddenly I could start using all of my Steam and Epic Store games and stuff like that on the Xbox console. I would absolutely love that. And then my second question is, what about like mods and adult only kind of content?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm a pervert, so it's like, can I play the more adult oriented games, or would those be banned from being sold in there? There's so many questions that this,
PS5, PlayStation games, for instance, on Steam, which are so hot right now. Like, you can play a PlayStation game on your Xbox.
I know, right? You could be playing Spider-Man. That's crazy.
Yeah. I honestly, I don't know. It's such an interesting take, but I do like the idea of it being like optimized for Xbox, like how the Steam Deck is, because that is very consumer friendly. It's really easy to see those logos, and that's communicated very well. So I think if it is something like that, they should definitely lean into that type of communication. Steam just has so many games. That's the thing. It's like, it would unlock tons of content for sure for the Xbox, which would be a huge win. We'll just have to see. Like, like I'm trying to think. I haven't heard of like the Ichio or something.
A lot of independent games. I've been there, but a lot of like
Okay.
independent small games. No DRM. I'm not even sure if I'm downloading a virus or the actual game.
Yeah.
It's that kind of website.
It's weird. I think it's cool. I love that the Xbox is. That's the thing. Like that's what makes me kind of like not sad. It's just I want Xbox to succeed because Sony is not taking these types of risks right now, and it's frustrating.
It's definitely wild.
Yeah, they're just over there saying, "Hey, here's a PS5 Pro. We barely touched the PS5 standard," and Xbox is like, "We're gonna get a storefront on our system. We're gonna create a handheld." I just love it, and that's how it should be. And it's, I don't know. I want them to rock and roll. I hope something like that. That'd be a huge win. That'd be great.
I'd be shocked if it actually happened, though, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's almost like what else? He said something about the Switch. He said, like Xbox Cloud was going to be on the Switch, or vice versa. Nintendo games were going to be on the Xbox. Something like that. And hopefully it does. Hopefully it pans out a little more realistically this time. But
agreed.
I don't know.
Okay, so moving on. You had put in a story about Apex Legends players being hacked.
Oh, yes. So this happened.
That sounds crazy.
Last week. Players were mid-tournament. This is one of the biggest tournaments of the year, which there's a bunch of money on the line. Streamers are streaming, and a box pops up for a brief second on their screen, and then like they basically unlock walls. They have auto aim. They're like start freaking. They're like, I have hacks. Like I'm hacking right now. And then they like back out of the game. Some of the players that are the streamers actually got banned because they got flagged for cheating, which is like crazy. And this hack was so intrusive that they're telling these streamers to reinstall their OS, like do a fresh install of Windows, because it was the way the anti-cheat works. It basically is a huge security risk. And they're saying that a bunch of other games actually use this same anti-cheat. So it's actually a huge issue that goes beyond just like this hack. But it was wild to see in real time. They basically stopped what they're doing and they're like, I'm getting hacked. And there's a lot of speculation as to who was behind it, but some people were saying that it could be laid off employees who had access. That was some.
No, I'm surprised that I'm hearing
I don't think there has been like a resolution because I haven't heard much. Maulding, have you heard anything of the latest on that one?
Yeah, I don't know if the whole first section before my internet went out. I don't know if it got uploaded
I know, right?
to you guys, so to the system. We're gonna find out because I'm recording now and it's uploading now, but I don't know.
Oh,
okay.
Well,
we'll see.
We'll figure it out.
I think
I heard about it, but I don't. But I don't know anything about it.
We'll keep it going, and we'll figure it out in a sec. But yeah, Maulding, you heard about that hack, right? You're just It's just crazy. I mean, and I feel like it's one of those things that also got kind of drowned out in the news. Like it was really big and it was all over Twitter. Then all of a sudden it just completely shut down. And this is my big takeaway also from this situation is this is all a PC issue, and console gamers do not need to worry about this. So this is a point in the console gamers court. Like, you just don't need to worry about this type of stuff. Like they're being told to reinstall Windows because the hack was so deep and so severe. It's like I don't know. They're saying like it could potentially turn into like a ransomware type of situation. That's how bad it is. Like, yeah, like you were losing control of your system. So crazy. It was really surreal to see.
That's pretty embarrassing for them that it was live during a competition and that, the players themselves had no control over it. That's what's, really crazy.
It's crazy.
PC, it's a wild world and they're all cheaters if you ask me, but
I agree, actually.
Okay,
Gosh.
moving on though. We have our discussion topic of the week, and that is: has a video game ever made you super emotional? Whether it is angry, sad, tired, anything.
I mean, getting to
and
that
when
town and finding
was it
out I
and
can't
why?
fast travel back made me pretty frustrated.
Maulding, since
But
you just got back, how about you
I thought
kick us
of
off?
this topic as something that I wanted to talk about because a video game when I was young called Final Fantasy II, which is actually Final Fantasy IV, I think, in the numbers, had a sequence where you meet these two twins. They're Polum and Porum, and they help you out while you're doing your thing. And one is pretty skeptical for you, skeptical about you, and the other one is really pro you and very happy to help. And you get into this spoiler alert hallway for a spoiler alert for like a 30-year-old game. And the walls start closing in, and the two twins cast spells on each other to turn themselves to stone, and they stop the walls from squishing you. And little, however old I was, 10-year-old Matthew, 12-year-old Matthew, was bawling. I cried at these video game characters turning themselves to stone and saving your evil ass. Because I think at that time you're evil. I think I can't remember, but very very sad. Cried at a video game. Yes, that was me. Very sad. Yeah. Yeah. It's a very famous scene. I don't know if either of you have played it.
Yeah, that's a sweet. I mean,
Oh,
sweet memory.
well, I spoiled
Dang,
it for
those
you.
guys just turn themselves to stone.
But
Didn't
in the
even-
end, after you finish the game,
What a
you find out
sacrifice.
that they
Yeah.
are still alive. It's like
I
some
haven't seen it,
wizard comes and
but that's
brings
awesome.
them back. So that makes it feel a little
Oh,
bit
that's
better.
okay.
What about you guys?
Oh, there you go.
Right on.
Yeah.
Lord?
Well, for me, it was that opening sequence in The Last of Us 1 where Joel and his daughter are running away from the infected and the military folks, and it was like a moment where you can't tell if they had been shot, or he like runs out at a military guy and he like kind of like wrestles the gun out of his hands, and a shot goes off and it actually hits his daughter. And it's that to me was really a powerful scene. Like I remember tears seriously welling up. This was a long time ago, playing on the PS3, and just I couldn't believe that type of emotional storytelling really I feel like hadn't fully been played out like that yet. I just was such a wild, shocking moment. And man, now that even thinking about that with my being a father now and having my daughter, just would make that moment all even more powerful. So that's the moment for me.
Wow. Yeah, I definitely know that
yeah
was shocking for me too, because it was just such a powerful intro and opening, and you assume this girl is the main character, and then she gets killed off brutally. It's just
it's wild.
But it's funny you put that, because I put The Last of Us 2 as one of the most emotional moments in gaming. And it's like, I really enjoyed The Last of Us 1. The story was a little heavy, but, it was pretty good. It was pretty basic, Then The Last of Us 2 came along, and I thought, wow, it blew my mind, because this was a very complex world that they expanded with so many different characters. And they really flipped things on their head, where suddenly they made Ellie, like spoiler alerts here, but they make Ellie the villain all of a sudden, and she was the hero before. And then they make Abby, this new character, the hero. And they start telling, but you still love Ellie, but then she starts making mistakes and she's doing bad things and she's killing people she shouldn't be. And you're like, and then Abby's like, you understand and you see her backstory. So by the end of this game, you love both characters, but they're both flawed and you kind of hate both characters. And it finally reaches the apex where they've been promising from the very beginning, this face-off between these two characters that mortally hate each other, that want nothing more than their own destruction of this other person, and to the point where they have ruined and they have both sacrificed personal relationships in their entire lives. Ellie left her wife and her perfect life just for this revenge, and Abby knows nothing else, and her arms are the physical manifestation of her anger. And just the storytelling of these two epic characters going head to head at the end, I literally almost fell off the couch because I did not know who I wanted to win. I didn't know how I wanted it to end. When they face off, that fight, it's just heartbreaking because you love both characters and they're making mistakes over and over and over. And doggy, that ending of that game put me through it. And for that, I will always love that game. So that was mine.
That's awesome. Yeah, I know there's a lot of talk around that ending, and it sounds intense.
It's super intense, and I can't wait for season 3. I'm not even jonesing for season 2. I'm waiting for season 3 of The Last of Us on HBO because I want to see, because I think they're splitting up the game in 2 halves. So
they are? Okay.
Yeah. So they're gonna tell the first half of the game and then the second half when they have this epic fight, and I mean, I don't know if the show can even do the justice the way the game did. Because you're so invested by that point because you've been playing that game for such a long time that it's so epic. I loved it. And that's all the time we have today. So on behalf of Good Playing With You crew, Matt Lord, Matt Maulding, and myself, Dan Whitehill, have a great weekend. And as always, good playing with you.
Good playing with you.